Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Management 291, offered by Harper College, Strategic Management. This is going to be a quick overview. As I've indicated in my orientation, for those of you that looked at the orientation video, and remember, you're either taking me in an online class, you're taking me in a fully face-to-face class, or you're taking me in a blended class, half online, half offline, or you're taking me in adult fast track. Those are the different platforms that Harper College has for the same class. Some are 16 weeks, some are 8 weeks, some are 12 weeks, but the chapters are the same. So let's first talk about what is strategic management. All right, so I will be your facilitator. I always used to say instructor, but I can only facilitate the information. You have to take what you're the one who has to do the learning. I'm just helping you learn or understand different concepts. So first of all, you're going to need a book. Remember, there's no way you're going to do the book because the book basically has, for lack of better words, has all the information. And this book is the publisher is Pearson. So all your exams and homework, most of them will be all done through my management lab. It's an interactive software that helps you learn the material and addresses different learning styles. So there's a lot of different functionality. So when we do discuss items, when we go into individual chapters, it's just another tool for you to be very successful. Okay? All right, so let's just, the way the book is set up, real quickly, remember, it's a quick overview. You've got the video library, and I talked about that in the orientation. I'll go like this. I'm looking at backwards, video library. You have a lot of information. You have books. In the back of the book, there's cases. And so the book is broken down. There's 11 chapters. The author broke it down. The two of the authors is Fred David and Forrest R. David. They basically they're broken down into 6 parts, 11 chapters. So I'm just going to go real quickly over the overview of the chapters, but not in detail right now because the individual chapters are doing it. I just want to understand what did I sign up for. Now, normally the strategic management class is what we would call the capstone. You've already taken either marketing, you've taken intro to business, you've taken some accounting, maybe some other kind of classes. I think there's 2 that was required in here, and I mentioned that in the orientation, what's required. But what you have all these classes, and now you're finally going to look at this. How do I take all this learning that I've learned here at Harper, or if I'm going for my management degree, and how do I understand how to put it all together, and how does it integrate with everything else? Okay, so part one. And this is by the chapters. Let me just, I kind of broke this down. I want all this information. Part one is the nature of strategic management. So it's just going to talk about strategic management. What does it really mean? When you're looking at strategic management, I'm looking more at the middle management position, higher up, looking strategically. How do I change the company or move the company forward to be successful, depending on different environmental or internal forces. So that's chapter one. Real quick overview. And if you know any kind of any book you read, chapter one basically covers the whole different chapters, but just a little bit. It's almost like just enough to get your appetite to say, oh man, this is what I'm looking for. All right. Now in part two, we'll break this down. You're going to have a strategy formulation. When I look at strategy as a middle manager, remember when most of you are going to be once you finish get your associate here at Harper, or if you look into this at YouTube and you're going to be taking it at a different community college, how do I put this all together? So as a middle manager, I am looking at an individual who's a strategic thinker. He or she's looking in the future, not like when you're first line supervisor, your whole life relies maybe in 3 months, 4 months. A middle manager is looking within 3, 4, 5, or maybe in 10 years. How do I set up the organization, structure it, and focus the organization going forward? And we'll talk about the different chapters to make sure that it's successful and sustainable in the future. I have to do this now. No different than when you are, for lack of better words, you want the next promotion. You know this requiring associate or a bachelor's or MBA or even higher, depends on the different levels of management you're trying to go to. You don't wait till the promotion's up there and say, oh, I'm going to get it. No, you want it now. So that's what you're coming into here. So the first one is a business and vision, a business vision and mission statement. In Management 111, or Introduction to Business or even Marketing, we talk about what's the difference between a vision and a mission statement. Vision is the direction, the long-term direction where the organization is going. Mission statement, in a nutshell, is what are we here? Are we here to satisfy customers? We're always here to make a profit. Even nonprofits have to make money to provide to the cause that they're trying to do. So you have to have that division so your employees know we want to be the best in the company. What's our mission? If I look at Walmart, I think there's a lot of cases in this book. Walmart, for general, is to keep the lowest cost down. Okay, and then you look at external assessment. We discussed in every class that you've taken me, either for finance, marketing, advertising, they always talked about the SWOT, and we'll get into that later on, strength, weakness, and opportunity. Strength and weaknesses are within the organization or within myself. Opportunities and threats are outside. So that would basically your external assessment. I don't want to get too much into the chapter. What are you going to say, Dr. George? You covered everything. The book is easy reading, good reading, has cases. So what you're looking at now, what's the external assessment? If I'm looking now what's going on with current administration, remember we had the last couple of years Democratic, a little more rules and everything else. Remember, I don't care who won or what your political preference is. That's up to you. What I'm trying to do as a manager strategically said, okay, the next 2 years with less regulations, should we be expanding or should we be contracting? What areas are more feasible? And when I look at the external, I'm looking at where's my opportunities, but then I'm also looking where's my threats. How much more competition? The economy's going better now. More competitors are coming in. Maybe the area I'm going in, something may be going on that could be could slow down my growth. So I have to look at that, and I have to, everything is what's interest rates going to go on. So if I have to get what do you call it, debt financing, not equity, I could buy, sell shares, but debt financing, taking a loan or selling bonds. I have to know, do I think in the next couple of years, if I invest, that the exterior assessment, there'll be enough customers, there'll be anything that's outside the organization that I can't control, but I have to be able to be aware of it. And what we call in business and management is a risk, managing risk management. Okay, so now those are the external. Now internal assessment is what's with the companies, what's happening on. Let's say I'm a manufacturing, the administration bringing more manufacturing in, and I may be a manufacturer, and I've been always getting all my parts for overseas. Now it's more favorable for me to make it in house because I'll be taxed, or there may be some tariffs on there, not tariffs. English is second language, so please excuse me. So there may be some tariffs on there, or I don't have the skill set for the workforce with the new equipment. So how do I bring that workforce in? Who do I hire? I'm looking at expansion. So those are all internal. Maybe I want to change the culture of my organization. It has to be more focused, more on quality, because that's what consumers want. Or maybe my culture has to be more, like we're doing here, more on the e-commerce. So I'm looking at the internal assessments, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got this, we have this, we have this. And there's a checklist. That's what's going on. And the next thing, what we're looking at strategies in action. Now I know I know my vision, and sometimes I may change it. I know my mission. I know the forces outside. I know the forces inside. And now I have to actually put in and say, what's going to be my strategical plan or action plan, okay? And then now, so I'm going to come up, okay, here's what I think strategically I have to do. Get better training, get more equipment or newer equipment, but then I need individual trained to be able, or do I get them out of college? Who knows? Maybe I need more managers. All right, so I'm looking at the strategies that I got to put in action to make my objectives within the next couple of years. The next thing I'm looking at my strategy, analysis, and choice. In business, you don't only have one strategy; you have several. Try to buy something. Option one, option A, B, and C, and even though A may be the most vile option right now, I still have to look at what if something happens. I don't go back to the drawing board and come up with some ideas. I already got option B. No different than when I'm hiring employees. I may select 3 employees and I'm only going to hire 1. So I had 200 employees that were not selected. But out of 1,000, those were my 3 top. So if this one employee comes in and he or she does good or she doesn't do well, because you don't know, you're taking a gamble, and then they leave, or for some reason I need somebody else right away because it's growing, do I go back and interview and repost? No, I have the other two best candidates. Out of the three, I would have hired either three, or maybe I just couldn't afford it. Now something happened, so I'll go to my second option. Same thing when I'm doing a strategical plan or action plan. Something doesn't work out right. 90% of the plan is right, but 10% isn't. May not just come in. Remember, because I'm strategically thinking what's going on, and maybe the environmental changes, or I had a good workforce, and they all retired, or something happened. So external, internal. So now I have to make some adjustments. The way you make adjustments, you look at what's the best, and you always look at your other options that I could, instead of reinventing the wheel, I basically just take those parts in and put it in this one. Remember, when we do any kind of strategic plan, like I'm planning in the future, hopefully everything will work out the way I plan it. But then over 6 months or 7 months, or a new administration will put in other rules, or something else will come on, and then I have to make those adjustments. I don't wait till the year and find out I didn't make my goals. I make those adjustments steadily as I go forward. Those of you who fly, or if you look at the spacecraft when you shoot, when they launch it up to wherever they're going to, they're always making minor adjustments because the wind current is changing, taking that projectile or the airplane someplace else. So they have to make those adjustments, even though their ultimate goal is their major goal where they want to be in the next 3 or 5 years. Okay, so that's part two. Now we're going to go in part three. Now that I know what I think is going to go on, I have to implement it. Who's going to be the individuals? What key players do I need? How long should my implementation plan go on? If I'm in a new business, that's kind of easy because you're implementing it, you're still adjusting. If I'm an existing business, I already have a process in place. I'm going to replace it with either a new computer system or a new process flow. Remember, if I'm not a manufacturing, and so when you look at operations, operations could be, for lack of better words, similar to manufacture, inputs and outputs. But to look at services is a process flow. So, okay, customer calls here. How do I make those adjustments, and how am I going to implement those strategies? And then I think at this one, let me just go real quickly because I think basically on this one they're looking at human resources and HR. What I mean, for lack of better words, transition from formulating to implementing strategies, need a clear annual objectives, need clear policies. All those have to be adjusted because I'm changing the processes. What resources match structure with strategy, do's and don'ts. Okay, so that's seven because they're both the same. The other one was basically marketing, finance, accounting. All of these are strategic plans. I'm going to come up with a new product. I'm going to market. Who's going to produce it? Do I have the right talent to make it happen? Who's going to be the champion? So here I'm looking at this again. What's my marketing issues? What social media I'm going to be using? Let's say I'm targeting Generation Z. Those are those from 2000 up. So they're 18, 19. They're looking at different platforms than what I may look at. If I'm targeting baby boomers, okay, they're still in the newspaper, what they call the legacy media, but now they're going into the social media, is basically replacing the mainstream news. Because most people got their smartphones, they don't read the paper, they don't listen to that. They basically just want to see the little bits and pieces, just like I do. What's happening in the news? If I want more, then I'll click on it. So a lot of the stuff is changing. Social media, for lack of better words, is replacing it. Now, if I was in the news media, and there's an example, we got cases in here. If I look at a case like Netflix, used to have the DVDs, you could order them and they deliver them. Now they're basically streaming it. That phase of the operation, the strategic plan is phase this out. Still people in there, so I'll keep enough. I don't advertise as much on that because eventually that's just gonna kind of like just fade away as more people and TVs and everything else now have the streaming options on there. Okay, so Netflix is basically, if I was to, like cable TV, what's replacing them? I've got 300 channels on cable TV. I only look at 10. Why would I want to spend all that money on cable TV? I could get Netflix for $9 instead of paying $70 at at a cable TV or direct TV, whatever. I'm not trying to sell one or the other. Okay. And then how I'm going to position my product, for lack of better words. And then they're going to talk about the initial public offering, how I'm going to get the money in there. And if you had accounting, this will all make sense. Okay, so that's chapter 8. Okay, that's part 3. Now we're going to go on part 4, and we're going to cover chapter 9. And basic in 9, the strategy, review, evaluation, control. I implement it. Is my strategy on target where I want it to do, or do I have to make some adjustment? I have to evaluate where my weakness is. The whole strategy is not falling apart. Certain aspect is not working properly, so I'm going a little bit off target to where I want to be at. So I have to evaluate that. Once I evaluate that, how do I control it to bring it back on and it's in a steady course? And controlling now is not me watching you everything else. Controlling now is basically, if I'm looking at it, is through technology. I could tell me if I'm off, did I make my quota? There's customers coming in, whatever. And we're going to get more into this. Remember, just give me a quick overview what this course is about. And then strategic management topics. If I'm looking at this one, when I do any kind of process changes, I have to look, is it ethical? Remember, business ethics, and those of you who had me for HR or other classes, or had other ethical classes, it's a decision. We're in a dilemma, right, wrong. Sometimes remember, ethics is a little different than breaking the law. And I use the example of abortion. And I'm not trying to go pro-life, or whatever. Abortion, is it ethical? Is it legal, first of all? Yes, it's legal. Is it ethical? Depends if you're pro-life, or or if you say, hey, it's my body, I could have the control of it. You see what I'm talking about? So when I'm looking at that from a business perspective, legally I could do it, but ethically, will my employees like it? And I'm just using that as an example. I'm not trying to get into politics, but I throw something else so people could see, oh, now I see the difference. It's legal, but it could be unethical, or it could be ethical. Do you see what I mean? It's what your consumers or what your employees, or for lack of better words, oops, sorry, technology. And those of you who had me before, remember I'm live. So I very little do I change my edit, even though I can edit, but okay, I gotta stop all my pop-ups there. All right, are we good? Okay, so if I'm looking at ethics, business ethics, social responsibility, how much should I give back to the community? If I'm serving the community, I should give back to the community. And then environmental sustainability. If I'm using some kind of products and I'm giving back whatever, could it sustain within the environment without harming the environment? Legally. Remember, ethically, you could kind of say, well, you've got a kind of higher contamination than your competitors do, but legally within that safe range. When I get my water bill, when I get the bill, they always tell me, here's how many parts per million you should have able to have certain chemicals. And I can see a lot of times some of them are really low, which is good. Some of them are at the high end, but they didn't cross over to that threshold. So remember, it's just an average. So we're looking at that. Okay, so that takes care of chapter 10. And then now when I look at chapter 11, global and international issues. I also teach international business, international management, or international finance. Either myself or other instructors at Harper College. Excellent, because most of us, I was born in Germany, I speak Polish, English is a second language. Most of the instructors who teach in international, we come from the other country. Either we're first generation. First generation means we actually I came on a boat, but now they would come on a plane. Legal immigration into the U.S. I had a green card. I came over when I was 3, and now I'm a naturalized citizen. So I just want to understand. Remember, but that's an international issue. How do I get workers? If I don't have enough workers, a certain skill set, what's going to happen with the administration? They're looking at are they going to have certain quotas? Are they going to be able to get that workforce? If not, I got to come back in here at my strategy. Say, hey, I got to start planning because the company's going this way. I can't rely on outsourcing from outside the U.S. or maybe even when you talk outsourcing, everyone thinks it's outside the United States. It could be I'm in Illinois, but I could maybe outsource someone from Wisconsin, from Indiana, if I could bring them in, or outsource some work to another organization outside of my geographic area that I'm operating in, because it depends if I could utilize them. But here, since it's global, international, so basically, I'm looking at companies. I'm looking at what are some of the challenge. I got to understand different tax rates. Right now with the current administration, they want everything made in America, everything in here, anything coming out, there's going to be tariffs. So I'm going to say, okay, now I used to buy all my stuff overseas from China. Now I have to buy it here. And a lot of the companies from China say, hey, now I'm going to put a tariff. We'll invest inside the U.S. Remember, you see the rationale? I'm not making a policy. in business, in management, the policy's there. Remember, companies don't vote. People vote maybe within the companies, but me as a company, I'm a corporation. I'm just making that up. As a corporation or whatever, so I am basically an entity that has certain rights, but I don't vote. So if the rules and the regulations are there, I have to be able strategically to be able to still make a profit, still be sustainable, or get out of the business. But I have to basically, here's my what do you call it, boundaries, or that I have to work in, and that's I have to adjust to it. What's legal here in the United States may not be legal in another country. So if I'm going to another, let's say I'm going to the European Union, I'm going to the UK, I'm going to be working in China, I have to follow by the Chinese rules. Well, I'm American, doesn't make a difference. You're in their country, their host, and they have to adjust. Just like internationally, they're going to have to adjust in here. Do I build a plant here because it makes more sense? Because by the time I pay the tariffs, or do I basically pay the tariffs and because I'm still the best quality? Those are the strategic decisions. And, and since the administration just went like this, it's caught a lot of businesses off balance, for lack of better words. Okay. And then, now the last thing we're going to be talking about, so those is basically part six, strategic management case. In this class, you will be doing a strategic analysis. The book has a lot of case studies. I'll be working with you on the case studies. It'll be part of the discussions. The book also has, so strategically, remember, you're going to go into that position. What do I have to do? How do I change a company around? I've taken a class in organizational culture. How do I bring the different cultures that are working with me and adjust to the American type of culture, or what I like to say, not American, let's say business type of culture. Okay, what's my and they have cases in here. And then afterwards, you're gonna have to do a short PowerPoint. In this class, if you're taking me for an 8-week class, you're just gonna do the PowerPoint, so you have it ready. You already did the paper. Now, how do I present this? And that's basically what strategically you have to present it not only to the top management, your middle management coming up this, you have to present it to the middle and to, I don't want to say lower, but your everyday working individuals, your salary employees, because they have to understand what's the vision, what's the mission, what are the steps. Then I have to basically explain it to my shareholders or my investors or my bondholders, because they say, hey, what's going on? Are we going to lose money? Should we sell our bonds in the second market? Should we get rid of the stock? And so you're going to be doing that. And then basically, in the last part, you'll have the things what you look at, make an oral presentation, how you present verbally. Look what I'm doing now. I'm talking to you, and I just see a camera. But in my mind, I see all these eyes looking at me. I had to adjust to different media. All right, and then like in my orientation, we have Blackboard Collaborate. So if you ever have to do a meeting with me, since if this is a fully online class, and sometimes I teach only online for the semester. I'm a contractor for the college. Sometimes I teach face-to-face online, so then you can meet me. But a lot of times, students say, hey, I'll meet you at 3 o'clock. I say, I'm not going to drive all the way there. This is basically you're my office, and I'm doing these recordings just to make it easier for you. All right, so that's it. Again, this is a quick overview. And remember, what you're doing, this is usually a capstone. You've taken all your classes, and now you've had the degree. And now you're going to go out and be work for someone. I've got the degree, associate degree from Harper College in business management or marketing and management, a double major. And they're going to say, very good. Help me plan in the next 2 years. Where do you think we should be? Suppose you're going for your for jobs. I have some students that are in accounting. Why did you select accounting? Well, they said because accounting, the projection strategically the next 5 years, you do well because there's a need for accountants. But now the new administration has cut a lot of the what do you call it, for lack of better words, deductions. Businesses are doing like that. They're trying to get away to bringing out companies out of being debt focused, through bonds, but now going more equity because a lot of companies would build the property, buy the property, it's taking for finance, and then basically sell it for a low price, sell it back to the developer with an option to buy in 20 years. Because the bottom line, what's happening is they get a better tax break as an expense than they would if they own the capital. And then when we went into finance, you had the different ratios. What do I want to change? Depends what individuals are looking for, investors and shareholders, or where the company has to go. Do we pull back instead of being a publicly held company, but now becoming a privately held company? Because strategically, I don't want everyone to know what my business is. I still sell shares, but it's not as open information. You have to come in, say, hey, I want to GAM business. I want to buy so many shares from you because you're privately held. I still could sell them, similar to like a chapter S that we had in other courses you had. All right, so I'll see you in what do you call it, chapter one. And chapter one is going to be real easy, quick overview, and then we start getting into a lot of the more details as we go forward. So you know all this information. You've already been exposed to it in different classes, and this is now, I take all this, I'm a middle manager or I'm an owner. How do I move my organization, my department going forward? And have a nice day. Again, this is Management 291, Strategic Management and Overview, 11 chapters, everything you need to know. And remember, you'll love this class because even if you're a department head, you got to start thinking. You want to move on the higher end. You have to understand how your boss, your owner, if you are the owner, strategically plan to be in where you plan to be in the next 3-4 years. That's why you're going to college. Strategically, you want that a middle manager's job or entry level management job, not first supervisor, but the next level up. And they say, hey, I got to have at least an associate degrees. All right, and have a nice day. I try to keep these videos under 20 minutes, 30 minutes when I start going into chapters more in depth. 26 minutes, not too bad.